I now hand the conference over to Mr. Ashish Shah from Centrum Broking Limited. Thank you, and over to you, sir.
Yeah, thank you, Malika. Very good afternoon to everyone. On behalf of Centrum Broking, I welcome you all to the conference call of Adani Green Energy Limited to discuss the FY20 results and future outlook. We have from the management Mr. Pankaj Shah, who is the CFO, Mr. D. Balasubramanian, Group Head IR, and Viral Rawal, who is looking after the IR for Adani Green, joined by Udayan Sharma. So I'll request the management to give their opening remarks for the call, and then we can start with the Q&A. Thank you.
Thank you, Ashish, for a brief introduction. Good morning, my investors and research analyst friends. A warm welcome to all the participants in this earnings call of Adani Green Energy Limited for the year ended March 2021. I hope all of you are safe and taking good care of yourself and your family. As a practice, we have uploaded our earnings presentation on our website, and we hope you would have sufficient time to go through the same. But just to give you the key snapshot, in terms of the capacity growth, AGEL has added 925 megawatt of operational capacity in FY21, despite this pandemic situation. This included the greenfield addition of 575 megawatt renewable assets, with commissioning of the plants up to 5 months ahead of the scheduled COD. So that's our execution strength, as we keep telling in all our past calls. And while ensuring 100% adherence to the COVID safety guidelines. So the remaining 350 megawatts were added by tapping the value accretive inorganic opportunities in the last quarter. So apart from this, AGEL has been awarded and declared an L1 bidder for 13,550 megawatt new renewable projects in FY21, taking total locked-in growth up to 20 gigawatts. So we are committed to our position of 25 megawatt by 2025, and all our actions and efforts are towards achieving that target meaningfully. Another important event which has happened in this quarter for the first time in Asia is that we have sealed the revolving project finance facility of US $1.35 billion, almost 10,500 crore. This is one of the Asia's largest project finance deals with the participation of 12 international banks. What is the importance of this is that, this will help us to do the growth in a fully funded way. So today what has happened is that they have sanctioned us this limit for a particular greenfield projects. As soon as that projects become operational, we will go to the international market and take out through the bond. And the same set of lines are available for the next growth which is there. So it's a revolving kind of a facility. So this is one of the major remarkable achievement which we have done. And, as I mentioned that we have this strategy to fully fund its under construction asset portfolio. The third important thing is that, as we keep telling, our big focus on the ESG. So in FY21, we achieved some remarkable milestone that demonstrate its strong ESG commitment. We recorded 0 lost time and recordable injury in FY21. So this is a big achievement for us. On top of it, our the largest plant of 648 megawatt at the Kamuti has become the first water positive plant of its kind in the world, and the first single-use plastic-free plant of its kind in India. So we are very much committed on this front. The plant has also been offered EHS Excellence Award from CII, which is in 5-star category in FY21. Recognizing the strong ESG benchmark adopted by AGEL, it has been ranked as the second best in Indian electric utility sector ESG benchmarking of DJSI SP Global and assigned MSCI ESG rating of A. We endeavor to continuously improve upon our ESG commitment. Now I'll come to operational and financial performance. AGEL has emerged as a leader in operational performance of solar and wind plants across India, as demonstrated by the Leadership in Performance Award conferred to our plants at CII Performance Excellence Award. We have continued to operate our renewable assets without any impact of the ongoing pandemic. Coming to the operational performance, the solar portfolio plant availability improved by 60 bips year-on-year at 99.5% in FY21, and wind portfolio plant availability improved by 540 bips year-on-year at 95.1% in FY21. Solar CUF remained consistent in FY21 with improvement of 60 bips year-on-year, and wind CUF remained consistent in FY21 with improvement of 540 bips year-on-year. So here, this performance could have been much better, but the plant which we have acquired from the SL has a CUF of only 17%. Post our acquisition, we have already reached to 20%, and again we have a target to take it above 25%. So we are already working on that. Within a span of 4 to 5 months, we have improved that. So overall, compared to last year, if you remove this exceptional item, there is a substantial improvement in the CUF as well, and you will see this, really coming up in the next financial year. Again, sale of energy is up by 25% on year-on-year basis to 5482 million units on the back of capacity addition of 25 megawatt. On the financial number, the total income is up by 51% on year-on-year basis at 1082 crore in Q4 FY21 and up by 34% on year-on basis to 3520 crores in FY21. EBITDA is up by 33% to 715 crores on year-on-year basis, and in Q4 FY21 up by 41% year-on-year basis at 2632 crores in FY21. Revenue from the power supply is up by 15% year-on-year basis to 690 crores, and which is up by 17% on year-on basis at 2419 crore in FY21, backed by the added capacity and the strong solar and wind CUF. EBITDA from the power supply is up by 15% on year-on-year basis to 626 crores in Q4 FY21 and up by 19% on year-on-year basis at 2207 crore in FY21. EBITDA margin from the power supply has remained consistent at 90% in Q4 FY21 and has expanded by about 200 basis points on a year-on-year basis at 91%. So in FY20 we ended up with 89%, and because of our O&M excellence practices, we have achieved 91%. We are further targeting to improve this in this current financial year as a part of our O&M excellence exercise. Cash profit is up by 121% on year-on-year basis at 373 crore in Q4 FY21 and up by 136% at 1250 crore in FY21. You must have seen the PAT is also the negative 68 crore last year. This year we have positive with 182 crore. So overall, AGEL's data analytics driven O&M, advanced de-risking based development approach, and disciplined years transformational capital management will continue to ensure a steady progress toward the target of having 25 gigawatts. Couple of more things, I would like to highlight to you. On the receivable front also, more or less we are, on track except Tamil Nadu. But as in the last quarter I mentioned that we have received 400 crores. Similarly, in this quarter also we have got, 100 odd crores. Plus, we are expecting another big amount in this month of May from there. So money is coming from Tamil Nadu, though there is a delay, continue to be in the range of 4 to 5 months. But other than that, the performance in terms of receivable is good. In fact, we are shelling out 2% rebate to all our, SECI counterparties and some of the state counterparties. So that is one thing which I would like to highlight on that front. Another important, update. Many of you have questions on what is happening on that 8 gigawatts. So there again, the first 2 gigawatts. It has to be starting from FY 22, 23, 24, and 25, 2 gigawatt each. The first 2 gigawatt, we are in a very advanced stage, actually because of signing the PPA, and but unfortunately because of this pandemic, this process has stalled, and we expect this to complete in this quarter itself. As per our knowledge, SECI has already tied up 50% of this 2 gigawatt with the various state discoms. Another 50% they are in very advanced stage. So we are expecting this PPA to be signed at any moment. Even in this pandemic time, I am happy to report that all our projects under constructions are on track. We do not expect any delay in the COD as far as this thing is concerned. And you all are aware that MNRE has already given 5 months extension from the scheduled COD date. But we are still, striving to achieve within the scheduled COD date all of these things on the construction front. ENOC, again, you are all aware that all the plants across India is, fully linked at our Energy Operational Excellence Center at the headquarters in Ahmedabad. This is connected by the French BAC software, which is a SCADA software. So because of this, we are able to maintain the 100% availability. And on the date front, I have already covered. On the foreign borrowing, we are 100% hedged, so there is no risk attached as far as that piece is concerned. So this is just an update from my side. Now, the floor is open for the question answer. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We will now begin the question and answer session. Anyone who wishes to ask a question may press star and 1 on the touchtone telephone. If you wish to remove yourself from the question queue, you may press star and 2. Participants are requested to use handsets while asking a question. Ladies and gentlemen, we will wait for a moment while the question queue assembles. The first question is from the line of Aniket Mittal from Motilal Oswal. Please go ahead.
Yes, thank you for the opportunity. So my first question is on the under construction pipeline. If I look at the presentation, I see a 550 megawatt downward revision on the wind under construction projects. So just wanted some clarity over there.
Sorry to interrupt, Mr. Mittal. So there is a slight disturbance coming from your line. Request you to mute your line while the management answers your question.
Sure, I've muted my line. Am I audible now?
Yes, sir. Now there is.
Yeah. Okay. So my first question is actually on the under construction pipeline. If I look at the presentation, I see a 550 megawatt downward revision on the wind under construction project. I just wanted some clarity on that.
Yeah, so we had a SECI 3 and SECI 4 projects which was there with us, and that projects we have there are certain issues related to that projects, and we have requested under the force majeure that projects to be taken up. So because of that, there is a downward revision to that extent. As and when the decision comes, then we will decide on this, but further movement on this.
Okay. Have you done any sort of capex related to those projects?
No, we have not done any capex related to those projects. Very small machines and other stuff which we have imported has been used at some other projects. So there is no revenue loss or a capex loss on these projects.
Okay. My second question was actually on the ordering front. One is, what sort of, let's say, overall ordering or tendering in terms of wind, solar, and hybrid do you see panning out in FY22? And secondly, given that the ALMM list has been released, and I don't think there are any foreign vendors enlisted on it as of now. So, as a developer, how comfortable do you think you would be in bidding for any upcoming solar projects?
So today, next year, current financial year, we are planning to do 2.5 gigawatt of our overall execution, and the capex of close to 15,000 crores in the current financial year. So this ordering process and all of that has already started much earlier, and we had a very good relation with the Bloomberg Tier 1 supplier, all module suppliers like Jinko, Longi, all of them on the trackers side, Artec, and all of them we had a very good long strategic relationship. We have done the ordering to all of them, and we don't see challenges as far as the delivery is concerned. In fact, our largest execution of the hybrid project of 1.6 gigawatt is on track. And, we are already starting getting delivery from April end, and, some of them will be done in May. So every month we will be having a shipment, and we don't see any challenges as far as, the supply chain and other issues are concerned. So we are very comfortable based on our relationship. Overall, at a company level, we have 30,000 approved vendors. And at a group level, we have 70,000 vendors available. So we don't see much challenges on that particular front.
So I was trying to understand more from a new ordering perspective, let's say at a sector level. What sort of new orders do you think will come, from SECI and others in terms of wind, solar, and hybrid in FY22 in terms of new tenders that you see coming out? And secondly, the point was that given I think the ALMM list has been released, and there are no foreign vendors involved in that list as of now. How do you look at, let's say, bidding for some of the upcoming solar projects if those do come out?
So the first question, let me address that first. So this year, we see because there are a lot of demands, and our Prime Minister has already told that, they wanted to achieve 175 gigawatt and 450 gigawatt by 2030. So we see major, tendering coming up from the SECI and the state discoms. Like if you see that in Andhra, they have come up. Similarly, in other states also, they are very keen to come out with the new bids. So we expect, the solar and wind, both bids are coming at the regular intervals, and we don't see any challenges as far as that piece is concerned. Your second question I couldn't get yet. Can you come back again?
Yeah. So the second part was on the ALMM list that's been released. So, what's happened is I don't think there are any foreign vendors or foreign module suppliers that have been enlisted in ALMM, right? And I think, for the upcoming solar projects, the tenders which would come out, you would have to...
You are talking about that production link incentive kind of a stuff which they have announced?
No, sir, I'm talking about the approved list of module manufacturers. I think there was a solar module manufacturer list that they had come out.
Kaushal, can I pitch it?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, so that is only for the list of the Indian manufacturers. Of course, we are importing and everybody is importing, so that import-related list is not released. That is only pertaining to the Indian manufacturers as of now.
Right. So that's the point. Given the fact that I don't think there are any, foreign vendors that are yet out or part of that ALMM list. In terms of
list is not yet out because you can't assume that all the foreign vendors are eliminated by giving a list which includes only Indian vendors. Correct. So there are procurements going on today. So all the foreign vendors are not eliminated. So that list should be kept out.
Okay. Sure. And just maybe one last question on the execution front itself. I think you said that, from a timeline perspective, you do not see any challenges. But there have been quite a few media articles that have been highlighting that a lot of these module suppliers have been either going back on their contracts or asking for a price hike. So I just wanted your views on that. Is there any sort of price escalation that we are witnessing on the solar front?
So as Kaushal mentioned, go ahead.
Go ahead, Viral. No problem.
Yeah, so as Kaushal mentioned, see, we have got long-term relationship with top 4 or 5 Bloomberg Tier 1 suppliers. Okay, so the benefit that we derive out of this long-term relationship with these large players is that some of them are also vertically integrated and they are large. Okay, so they are able to withstand these kind of temporary changes in the market, and they will always try to honor the relationship in the long term, rather than looking forward to negotiate based on short-term price changes. So they don't come and negotiate on based on such short-term price changes. They try and honor the contracts that they have entered into with us.
Okay, so we're not seeing any escalation.
What we have done is that we have opened the letter of credit much ahead of their the production start date. So we didn't see any challenges, and as I mentioned, we have very good strategic relationship with all this, with the volume which we are giving it to them. They are much comfortable in prioritizing us in terms of both price and the delivery, both.
Okay. So that is helpful. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Puneet from HSBC. Please go ahead.
Yeah. Thank you so much. My first question relates to the solar plus manufacturing capacity, where you said that the government was on the verge of signing a 2 gigawatt PPA, and 50% of it has already been tied up with state discoms. What I want to understand is SECI keen on signing a PPA for the entire 2 gigawatt before signing the balance 50%, or will they sign the PSA first and then sign a PPA with you? How do you foresee
normally that is the process. Normally that is the process which is being followed.
Yeah. That
they first sign the PSA and then they will follow. So, but we are very unfortunately, this second wave of pandemic has delayed the entire process. Otherwise, we were targeting to complete it by March, as we communicated last time also. But we are very hopeful that this should be done, in this month or maybe in mid of next month. But we are very positive on this front.
Okay. My second question is, you have a 2.5 gigawatt commissioning plan for FY22, right? Is that still looking achievable in the current COVID circumstance?
No, absolutely. See, first and foremost is that 1.6 gigawatt, which is the hybrid projects which we are executing.
Yeah.
That project is absolutely bang on track. Apart from this, there is a SECI 6 and SECI 7 and 5. All of these projects are on track, and you will see some of the commissioning announcement coming up, in this month itself. So, there will be a capacity addition. We have procured the material also required. The team at the site is also very energetic. Some of them, we have done the quarantine at the site. We have taken all the possible, and the required step at the site, for the COVID preparedness. We have a thermal scanning which is being happening. Even we are taking care of the contractor labor also, so that the work is not stopped. And we have a fully loaded ambulance available. We have a tie-up with the local hospital in case of any emergency. Plus, we are taking care of the family of them. So all of them are very much comfortable, and we are very much hopeful that we will be able to achieve this target comfortably.
Excellent. And what kind of CUF do you expect to see from this incremental 2.5 gigawatt?
So overall, the CUF will be in the same range, but the revenue should be double from where we are today, and so as the EBITDA. Both of them, we are expecting that to increase.
No, I thought because there is also a hybrid project in it which will have a much higher CUF. And newer technology, solar is anyways generating higher.
Hybrid, we have around, in hybrid projects, we have around 46% roughly around CUF which will be coming up. So overall on a blended basis, I think we should be achieving at around 30% plus CUF. We will come back to you with the exact calculation. Actually, we have not calculated the exact, the blended one, but we will come back to you on this.
Yes. No, and broadly, the solar units which will be commissioned this year versus what were commissioned a year before, what kind of CUF increase are you likely to see? For example, in the previous it would be close to 23-24%. Do you see a significant up move in the CUF for the solar plants as well because of technology and other changes and loading? Should I clarify this?
Solar CUF, we are talking about, increase of roughly at least around 210 bits compared to what we have in FY21. Yeah. And, the wind CUF, again, we are talking about increase of 800 and odd bits. Compared to FY21 to FY22. So these are the numbers which we are expecting to have improvement.
Excellent. So that's what I was looking for. The other question is, you also added 925 megawatt this year commissioned capacity, including inorganic. Is there an agreement with Total for it to keep on investing in it, or will it be on a every project specific basis?
No. It will be on a project-specific basis because they have taken now stake at the holding company level. Ne?
Yeah.
So they are now partner at 20% at the holdco level. So it's not that for every project Total is going to, invest the money. Okay. Funding plan is, from the company, which is from the internal approval which we have. And plus, last year, this year only, in April and subsequent deals, we have sold the strategic sale to Total. So if the fund is available with us, it takes care of these things.
Okay. So no incremental investment within the company. It will all largely be internal approval.
Yeah.
And on the O&M side, what kind of O&M cost per megawatt are you now witnessing?
It depends on, the size of the plants and other stuff. But on an average, you can consider around 4 lakh per megawatt.
Okay. And ENOC would have contributed what kind of savings?
So at least I can say that, ENOC has bring mainly increase in the revenue plus the saving overall. So you can say that around 25% will be the contributory of ENOC.
Okay.
Because we do preventive maintenance and there is no, the stoppage of any module or other stuff, and that's why we are able to achieve 100% availability in all these things. So, and these performance is that in spite, you might be aware that the wind, which was normally 8 meters per second was lower this time, which was 6 in last 20-year history. So, we are trying to achieve that this performance would have been much better compared to, these things once, we had that, the wind available. So, we don't expect this. This is one of the events which has happened. We are closely monitoring all of these things moving forward as well. So we see that performance improve, and that's why I was just telling that, last year we achieved 200 dips higher percentage EBITDA from 89 to 91. And this year also we are targeting to at least add 150 to 200 dips in EBITDA by, O&M excellence practices. Which is the highest in the, entire gamut of companies and who are in this sector. Yeah.
Okay. That's it. My last question is on the SL acquisition. So you talked about a 17% CUF going up to 20, and the idea is to take up 25. How are you doing that? Are you adding more DC capacity also into it?
Yeah, we are adding some DC capacity also. Some, we are taking some repowering action also on that particular front. Plus, what was happening was that the O&M maintenance was given to the third party currently. As an Adani, we have all O&M at all the sites. We ourselves are doing it. So that we have taken it up from the 1st of April.
Okay.
And so we see that the base of their practices which will be coming up to us.
Okay. Okay. Excellent. That's very good. Thank you so much. All the best.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Lavina from Jefferies. Please go ahead.
Yeah, hi. So just two questions. One is on this manufacturing link tender, we hear different rates in the media. I mean, do you think you will get north of 2.5 rupees per unit? Because 2.92, I'm guessing, will not be possible. That's one. Secondly, I just wanted to check some renewable energy product sites have been, it's coming in the media that labor force is down to 30 to 40% of peak levels. So I know you all are handling it much better, but at least on certain sites, are you seeing this happening or not really? Thanks.
No, not really. Lavina, let me just your second question first. So as I was just mentioning to you that, on our hybrid projects, we are very much focused in Rajasthan. We have created dedicated center in Jaisalmer, which is 50 kilometers away from Rajasthan, to take care of our, the employees. And this is not our own employees. Take the labor force of our EPC contractor or, the workers whosoever are there. So they are very, excited about the overall care being taken by us. So we don't see much challenges. The learning has come from the last year, March. Last year, March and April, we had this issue whereby, the major downturn has happened. But this time we have understood, and in some cases we have incentivized them little extra also, so that, they can continue to work at the site. So that is the first answer. And the second one, on the rate front, we are definitely positive about north of 2.5. In fact, I'm not able to disclose it right now, but it will be a good rate which will be coming up to us.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Mohit Kumar from DAM Capital. Please go ahead.
Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon.
The first question is, how much is EBITDA expected from the operational 3.5 gigawatts? And what is the date getting capitalized on the books? That's the first question.
So date total all as of now for the under construction project is roughly around 2,400 crores. Hello.
The balance 16,000 crore is getting capitalized. Am I right?
Yes.
And what is the EBITDA expect from this 3.5 gigawatt on a recurring basis?
On a recurring basis, 1 minute. I will just will have to look at it because some of the plant has become recently operational. So overall, according to me, we'll come back to you with the exact numbers, but it should be in the range of around 1,700 to 1,800 crores.
No, sir, last year you did say 2.4 to 24 billion, right? So numbers should be higher, correct?
It should be on annualized basis. So we will come back to you with the exact number. Actually, I don't have that exact number available with me right now. Yeah.
So how much is the debt repayment for FY22 and FY23, and for incurring the 15,000 crore of capex expenditure, do you need to bring any extra equity, or it will entirely funded through debt?
No, we have see how do we fund this thing is that first is that we have already done the strategic sale. So that fund is available with us to take care of equity requirement. Plus we have an letter of credit line available at the holding company Adani Green Energy Company Limited level. So when we do the funding, we first open the LC. As soon as we win the award, we get the LOA. So we don't have to even wait for the project finance to be completed. And that's how, we are able to complete these projects ahead of schedule. So that letter of credit is being opened immediately in favor of the suppliers, and the delivery, shipment, and all other things are planned accordingly. And then, subsequently, when 5 months down the line, when we have the project facility available, it is being used from that facility to retire the LC and take the equipment. So that's the methodology which we are doing it. But now, as I already explained to you, we have a rolling over construction facility. So that will take care of my new projects which are in pipeline once we take them out through the international bond. So it's overall it's a 1 year cycle, 6 months to 12 months for the execution of the projects, and then you go to the bond market. Regarding your second question on the repayment and the other stuffs, regarding the repayment and the other stuffs, to my knowledge, close to 500 crore we had a repayment in FY22, and very small amount again in FY23, which is 741 crores. But exact numbers we can come back to you, but these are the numbers. As far as FY21, EBITDA is 2,600 crore, and for FY22, the one question which I would like to ask you, you were asking about that current 3.5 gigawatt of EBITDA on an annualized basis, or
yes,
you are asking?
So my question was how much this 3.5 gigawatt operational capacity can generate, how much of EBITDA will come from 3.5 gigawatt?
Okay, already it is in operation.
Yes.
3,100 crores.
Understood.
Yeah. Okay.
Can you please help us with the breakup of the stapled instrument of 40 billion, how it is getting accounted in our books, how much is being considered as other equity, and how much is considered as debt?
So mainly, entirely is a stapled instrument as a debt only. It is not. There is nothing major in the the equity. So all of these things is in the debt itself.
Okay, understood, sir. And how confident that this 2 gigawatt of solar manufacturing linked PPA tender will get finalized? And is there any renegotiation on the tariff? Because the Azure, the other party who has won the contract, he disclosed that they are trying to renegotiate the tariff downwards. Is there any talk of renegotiating the tariff downwards? And secondly, on the Andhra bid, is there any update which you can share? When do you expect this bids to be converted into a proper LOA?
So, as far as Andhra piece is concerned, we are expecting that Andhra piece is concerned, we are expecting it to be closed anytime in this month. The stay on the High Court, that decision should come up any point of time. So we are very hopeful that by end of May it should cover up. So that's not an issue. The second question on that, to answer your question, we are very confident and based on our dialogue with the SECI that there will not be any major downtrend which will happen to this PPA which we have signed with the SECI.
Is there any kind of renegotiation possible, or you are firm on the tariff of 2.92?
We are actually insisting on that tariff only, but we will review the situation because when we have negotiated with them, the prices of some of the materials were high, which has now come down in some cases. So we will try to balance that. But our overall equity IRR, what we have is, target is 18% minimum, which we will, adhere to.
Understood.
While negotiating this, if at all that situation comes, we will see that we get that much, equity IRR. Yeah.
So my last question, sir, what is your commissioning time in megawatt we expect in FY22 and FY23 and FY22 based on the portfolio projects you have right now, where the LOA and PPAs are signed?
So we will come back to you with more details, but for FY22, as I mentioned, that we are talking about 2.5 gigawatt coming up as an operational capacity.
Understood, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you. And best of luck. Thank you.
I think on the EBITDA front, you are clear now.
Yes, sir.
Sorry, I
3150
have not understood your question correctly, but thanks, Viral, you have clarified. Yeah.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Dhruvam from HDFC Mutual Fund. Please go ahead.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much. So just a few follow-ups from the earlier questions. Sir, like the EBITDA number, is it also possible to share what is the gross block invested in the the commission projects, including the acquisitions? This is the number that you used to share earlier on an annual basis. This helps us in terms of getting the gross block.
We have actually updated that table. What we are instead sharing is the capital employed. Okay, so the capital employed is now 178 billion rupees. That's the total capital employed for operational assets.
17,800. 178 billion, okay, 17,800 crores. This is the capital employed. So the debt repayment which has happened will be netted off from this. Okay.
Debt repayment which has happened? Yes, it's already.
The depreciation is now out of it. Okay, this is not the gross block gross block number that you used to share earlier. This is not the same number.
Yeah, so we have changed that practice to sharing capital employed so that you can work out the EBITDA return on capital employed. Okay, instead of on the gross block.
Mm-hmm. Got it. And this includes the acquisitions also?
This includes the acquisitions also.
Got it. Okay. Okay. And in the PPT that you have, the gross debt number that you have shared in the PPT, which is about 18,000 crores, that does not include the debt from Total. I believe that's a debenture. Does it include that amount?
No, it doesn't include
that amount.
It doesn't include Total.
Okay, so that will be separate. That
yes.
Amount is separate. Got it.
Correct.
And one thing was, if I look at the target that you have said about 2.5 gigawatt. Now, if I remember what was the last number of the under execution projects, would it be fair to say that for the PPA projects that we have, for the projects that we have already secured the PPA, 2.5 after this 2.5, there will be no projects which are left. So the solar manufacturing project will become critical for the next year of execution. So for any execution in the next year, the solar manufacturing tender or other tenders that you win probably will become critical. Because
within FY22, we'll be executing the remaining 2.3 gigawatts that we have in our under implementation portfolio. Then basically in FY23, you will see the execution will start for the next phase of projects, which includes the SECI 8 gigawatt tender, then the Torrent 150 megawatt tender, then the Andhra will also will be commenced because we expect that LOA to be received soon and PPAs to be signed soon. Then there is wind SECI 300 megawatt, and then finally there is 600 megawatt more of hybrid from SECI, which will start
That's
from
the one that you recently won. Got it. Okay, I missed this. Okay,
Yes.
so 150, 300 and 600. And besides this, then the SECI and the AP project, as we get
That's
the
correct.
for that.
That's
Got it. And this 15,000 crores, that's the number that we have for capex for this year. This is for this 2.5 gigawatt of projects. So basically, the gross block to
some
gross
bit
block per megawatt.
Some bit of activities will also start for these projects, which will basically be seeing some kind of CODs happening in FY23. But initial capex will also begin for these projects, which will where we will be basically start announcing CODs from FY23.
Correct.
Because otherwise, this number 15,000 on 2.5 or 2.3 gigawatt looks to be around 6 crores.
No. You should not do it, because for what some of the projects which is under construction, the capex has also happened in the last financial year, FY21, and plus there will be some new capex in this to complete that. And similarly, the new projects which we have won, like Torrent, Andhra, and all of that, we will also start.
Hello.
Yeah, so as Kaushal Bhai was saying, it is not correct to link the 15,000 crores to 2.3 gigawatts.
Okay.
The line for the management is disconnected. Kindly stay on line till I reconnect them. Ladies and gentlemen, we are trying to connect the management, Mr. Kaushal Shah. In the meanwhile, the participants will be answered by other speakers.
Yes, sir. आपका मैं मोबाइल नंबर चेक करता हूँ. लैंडलाइन पे कनेक्ट नहीं हो रहा. Yes.
Sir, we have Mr. Dhruvam from HDFC Mutual Fund in the question queue.
Yeah, a very quick question only. So basically, what I was trying to understand is 15,000 is not comparable to the 2.5 gigawatt. This 15,000 would include some capex which are for the next year projects.
That's correct. मतलब वो क्या होता है? It's basically a mix-up of
Okay.
the
But that would also be true for the previous
expenditure. Yeah.
Yeah, but that would also be true for the previous year. For the 2.5, you might have done some capex.
That is correct. That is correct. That's correct.
Okay, probably then I'll take this later. Just one last thing is so, for example, you said that the capex this year is about 15,000 crores, assuming that 25% is your typical equity contribution. The number for equity contribution comes to about 3,700 crores, or about 4,000 odd number.
Correct.
I believe the next year's after interest, what your cash generation will be about 1,000 odd crores, approximately there. So how, and if I'm not wrong, the cash on your books is about 2,000 crores, which for some part of the cash will anyways will remain in the books because of DSCR and other reasons. So how do we fund this capex, the equity portion of this capex?
So for the equity portion of the capex, as you would know, Total has invested in total $2.5 billion, correct? Some went to the promoters towards 20% acquisition of the stake in AGL, and the remaining came to AGEL towards the 50/50 JV. So this entire pool of money is available to fund the future growth, correct? And this will help us meet the equity.
Got it. But that amount should be reflected in the cash balance that you have, right? So that deal did not happen. It happened 3 months, right?
Yeah. So basically, towards the JV, Total invested about 4,017 crores in total. So that was reflected in the AGL balance sheet, correct? So the remaining about $2 billion has gone to the promoters, whereby promoters diluted their stake in favor of Total. But that money also should ultimately be on an overall basis available for the company's growth whenever it is required.
So okay, so basically the earlier amount, the perpetual securities route that we used to adopt earlier, that route can be used even if required.
Yeah, just give me a second. Yes, sir. I've already passed on your number. 8 minutes, sir.
Mr. Dhruvam, your question is answered, sir?
No, I have a bit of something.
No, I'm sorry. Yeah, can you repeat your question? I'm sorry.
Yeah. So I was saying the remaining equity can be, if required, the cash which is required can come through the perpetual equity route that we earlier had used. Get funds.
It can come in any form. Yeah.
Okay. Got it. And just one last bit is, we are seeing that some of these costs are increasing, except for the module cost. Probably the other costs like steel and others have also increased significantly. So the what we call the EPC cost seems to be increasing. So does it impact you in some sense, or how are we trying to hedge that portion?
So see, hello.
Okay, Viral, go ahead.
Yeah. So first of all, Kaushal Bhai is also now connected. Now on the steel side, yes, the steel prices have also gone up, but they have kind of gone up a bit more than expected, and we would expect them to again correct, and we are already, I think, seeing some bit of correction. So that should again be a temporary phenomena. So whatever under implementation projects we have, what happens is the steel structures are the first things that we buy. Okay. And wherever we are bidding now, if we are bidding for any projects now, we normally, calculate the necessary escalations
for the
that we
new
expect
projects, I
based on
understand.
the past
For the
trends.
existing, I was referring to. Sorry, I was referring to the existing ones.
For existing and for future projects, whenever we bid for projects, some bit of escalations we do build in because steel prices always keep on fluctuating. Correct. So we do build in some bit of escalations over there.
So another.
But see, on an overall basis, if you see the steel structure and I would say steel structure, pre-operative expenses, IDC, all of that doesn't form more than about 10% of the cost. Actually, the majority of the cost is 55 to 60% is modules.
Yeah.
So it doesn't impact that in such a big way in that manner.
Got it.
I just want to add what
Mr. Dhruvam,
Viral has said.
Yeah, I'm done. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. The next question is from the line of Swarnim Maheshwari from Edelweiss. Please go ahead.
Yeah, hi, good afternoon, sir, and thanks for the opportunity. Couple of questions.
Yeah, good afternoon.
Yes, sir. First, so for FY23, if you can just help us, what is the kind of free cash flow that we are looking at for, say, FY22/23?
So, normally we don't give any guidance kind of these things, but we can share that offline. As I mentioned that for FY22, we have a capex plan of 2.5 gigawatt, 15,000 crores. And, we will be having a free cash flow on the north of roughly 20 billion rupees.
Okay.
Yeah.
Got it.
Other thing,
Got
I
it.
think the numbers, if you want, Viral can share you separately.
Yeah, sure, I'll take that offline. So second thing is, if you can just highlight a bit on the, green hydrogen side. If I recollect, the Adani Group, they had done some sort of collaboration with some foreign company on exploring the hydrogen value chain, and I believe that will be done through Adani Green only. So if you can just highlight the strategy over there, if you can share any color on that.
No, so on the the hydrogen side, we are in the process to formalize our strategy over the next few months, and we should have the announcement to that effect at the right time. Currently, immediately we are not seeing this because of the the overall cost which is coming up to make it operational. So we are just formulating the strategy. We will come back to you at the right time.
Okay. Sir, what is the current costing, if you don't mind sharing that? You mentioned that it is currently coming at a very high level. So what is that, by the way?
No, so that we are just working on. I think
okay.
We will come back to you with the detailed note on that.
Okay. Yeah, no worries.
Yeah.
So thirdly, couple of months back was actually planning, and they were discussing that to basically, for all the renewable PPAs to have a 90% and a 10% kind of a open-ended capacity also to allow the renewable companies to have a merchant capacity, say somewhere about 10% of their PPAs. So, first of all, what is your take on that? And secondly, how does the round the market or round the clock concept is actually impacting you? If you can just highlight that.
Sorry, I could not hear you very clearly the last point which you have told. Can you repeat that so that I can answer?
Yeah, the second point was, the related point was, how is the round-the-clock power supply chain that is impacting you basically? You see that there are, a lot of new contracts on the RTC supply chain. So how is that impacting us?
So in fact, that will not impact. In fact, in our one of our strategy also, we have a RTC tender which we will be working on. So it's a combination of all the things, the thermal, wind and hydro, and we will have adequate resources available to participate into that particular, the RTC tender. So we don't see any challenges as far as that piece is concerned. In fact, it will help us to, generate the more revenue in that sense and the EBITDA from this process.
But sir, I believe that.
You can add that.
Sorry, but just coming back to that, I believe of course the availability is very high side, and if I have to look at the conversion ratio, so you guys are already touching perhaps the maximum possible utilization. So is there a chance of going higher than that also?
In terms of UF and
for the RTC part, the extra that you mentioned, right?
No, RTC part definitely. All the three places where the solar we can use it, and if we are talking about wind and then plus the coal. So we can use the peak of each segment, and accordingly, we are expecting it to go much higher accordingly.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, and on the first question about about that methane capacity of 10%, we were discussing it briefly. They have still not come out with the final guidance.
As of now, we don't see these things coming up. Whatever dialogues we have currently, we are seeing the 100% PP only. So and currently also our strategy is to make sure that everything is the long-term contract tied up. Moving forward, we will see that how and when it will come up.
Okay.
Mr. Maheshwari, sir, I would request you to rejoin the queue for follow-up questions.
No, I'm done. Thank you.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Abhinav Bhandari from Nippon India Mutual Fund. Please go ahead.
Thanks for the opportunity and congratulations to the team for a commendable job in a very challenging year. Sir, I just needed rather three clarifications. One is on this acquisition of Sky Power and Sterling Wilson assets. What's the timeline for consolidation? Would they start reflecting in FY22, and have we done the payout for these assets?
Yeah. We in fact closed this entire transaction in the March. The shares were also transferred, and this is part of our 31st March accounts. So this has already been done by us, and the full revenue and everything is done. Consideration is also paid to them.
Got it. So second question is basically on the DC loading side. So for this 8 gigawatt tender and the AP 4.5 gigawatt, what kind of loading should we build in our estimates?
That numbers we will come back to you separately. I don't have, but we will come back to you with the numbers.
Okay. And just one final question on the manufacturing part of this 8 gigawatt tender, sir. So just to get a clarity, would this be in Adani Enterprise or in this company itself, the manufacturing part of the tender?
No, it will be linked that, but it will be part of Adani Enterprise.
Okay. Got it. That's all, sir. Thank you so much and best wishes.
Yeah.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Mohit Kumar from DAM.
So thank you. What we can do is that, we can end this call and then, whenever if anybody has any further questions, they can send us by mail. Yeah. Hello.
Yeah. So, Kaushal bhai, should we take this last question? Which is
whatever, Vidal, you tell me that, no problem.
Yeah, take this last question and then.
Yeah, please go ahead.
Okay, sir. Thank you. The last question is from the line of Mohit Kumar from DAM Capital. Please go ahead.
So two questions, sir. Clarification mainly. So out of 2.5 gigawatt which is getting installed this year, this includes the hybrid capacity of 1.7 gigawatt. Is this the reason why the capital cost is too high?
Sorry?
Is this the reason the 15,000 crore number looks high because it includes 1.7 gigawatt of hybrid capacity?
No. See, what is happening is that 15,000, do not straight away calculate 15,000 with 2.5 gigawatt. there are various projects which will be, I'm saying CapEx is happening for 15,000 gigawatts and we will make 2.5 gigawatt operational. Now the CapEx will not only be doing it for hybrid, there will be some CapEx which will happen for other under construction projects like which we have won for the Andhra, which we have won it for the Eastern, the Torrent one. So these are the projects also, some of the CapEx will go into that. So it's not a straightforward that, this 2.5 and 15,000 is correlated. If you need the exact number, that we can share you offline.
Understood, sir. Is there any timeline for bringing the manufacturing capacity online from the signing of a PPA?
It is 24 months.
Normally.
Okay, understood. Thank you, sir. Thank you. I'm done. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. I would now like to hand the conference over to Mr. Ashish Shah for closing comments.
Yeah, on behalf of Centrum Broking, I would like to thank the management of Adani Green for giving us the opportunity to host this call. Thank you to all the participants for participating in the call. Thank you, everyone.
Thanks a lot, Ashish and Centrum team, for organizing this call. Please connect with us if you have any further questions. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
On behalf of Centrum Broking Limited, that concludes this conference. Thank you for joining us, and you may now disconnect your lines.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks.